Mr. Bit, Manuel, Coin, Peterson, Lains and Coins will present to us about Bitcoins and BitSpace. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Hi everybody. Mr. Bitcoin, that title is actually taken in Norway. There's another guy who has that nickname. So I'll have to figure out something else to put into my name. My name is Manuel Lains. I live in Oslo, and I'm the co-founder of a small startup called BitSpace, which we are working in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency field, doing consulting work mainly, and we're also planning to start a cryptocurrency exchange in Norway. So I'm going to be talking today about Bitcoin. As the time slot is not that long, I'll focus basically on Bitcoin, not the more advanced cryptocurrencies. There are a lot. So I'll stay with the basics. After talking to people here during this week, I found out that most people wonder about the basic questions. What is Bitcoin? How does it work? So that's going to be the focus of my presentation. A little bit about the use cases as well. So the guy who made Bitcoin, the guy who made it up, is called Satoshi Nakamoto. He had a vision for finance and commerce. And his vision was that he would be able to transact directly person to person without going through a financial institution to enable low resistance commerce. And not relying on third parties like banks or payment providers like Visa. And also that you would eliminate the human component of the trust in the system, and it will be based on mathematics and cryptography. So it's kind of an experiment. I mean, people didn't really know it's going to work. Most people in the beginning, they thought it was like toy money, like monopoly money, and nobody would ever dream that it would have even the value of $1. And now it's around 450 as we speak. And it's going exponentially. It has seen exponential growth the last 6 years. So I think it's something to consider, to take seriously. So this is a little bit reversed. It's the mysterious creator of Bitcoin. Nobody knows who he is. There is like conjuring up the blocks in the blockchain. I'll get more into that. So for those of you who don't know what Bitcoin is, there are two ways to look at it. How is it for us? What can we compare it to? And I like to use the analogy of gold and cash, two different at the same time. Bitcoin doesn't have any backing. It's just something that we agree on using, just like gold. Gold doesn't have much value except for as a store value and a payment system. It's useful as a payment system, and that's why it was chosen. The value of gold also, it has some value in electricity, electronics, but that's like very marginal part of the value of gold. The second thing, yeah, it also gets the value purely from supply and demand, like gold. It's not a company, it's just a thing. It's an element, almost. And it exists purely on the internet. It's better in the physical world. So, and the other way it works like cash, because it's a transaction, automatic transaction direct transaction between one person to the other, so it's like handing the person a note. So in that way it's very similar to cash. But it combines these two, because cash is a fiat currency, it's controlled by a government, and this currency is not really controlled by anyone but all of us who use it. So that's how we can look at it. To talk about what it actually is, Bitcoin is a database, a ledger, with a history of all transactions that have ever taken place. That's it. It's just person A transfers to person B, B to C, and then all these millions of transactions are recorded in the common history in the network. And it's deterministic, so you'll always reach the same result, who owns what coins. So it's basically just a history of everything that has ever happened. And all of this is open. Anybody can log on and see all transactions that have ever happened. We can navigate the tree. There's a lot of possibility for data mining as well. And it exists in the cloud. It's based on peer-to-peer technology. Maybe some of you have heard of BitTorrent, that type of thing, where you send and receive, do both in the network. And that's what they basically did with Bitcoin. They combined cryptography for money with peer-to-peer technology, and that was Bitcoin. So it's a really new invention. It's from 2008. It started running in 2009. That's when the code was released. So it's a 6-year-old baby, and the market cap is now $6.5 billion, which is really small for a currency. It's really big for monopoly money. Okay, so how does it work? I'll just go a little, I don't know if I'm going to go too much technical into it. I don't know how much time I have, so I'll be brief. But it basically works like that. It's based on public key cryptography. That means that you never actually, you have a public key associated with your account, and you have a private key which only you know about. So your public key is like your email address. People can use it to send money to you. But the private key is never exposed to the network. Okay, a quick question.
When are people going to start using this? When am I going to use this?
Well, whenever I convince you. I'm using it already. Yeah. We're using it a lot in the fire party, for example.
But you can go to a shop and buy with Bitcoins, no?
Huh?
Your telephone you can buy in a shop with Bitcoins, no?
It's a shop accepts Bitcoin, yeah. I'll get back to that. I mean, it's still early stage. It's very few places in the world you can actually go into a shop and buy. But there are some places, like in Berlin, there's something called Bitcoin Street or Bitcoin Town or something like that, where there are bars and pubs and eating places you can use Bitcoin. In Amsterdam, no, in Hague, I think, in the Netherlands, they have Bitcoin Boulevard. There are some pockets of places. I think Bali has a big community. It's growing in certain places, and Silicon Valley is really big on Bitcoin right now. It's like the investments into Bitcoin is matching that of internet in 1995.
It's easy to
That was before the...
to change Bitcoins in euros, for example?
Yeah. Plenty of opportunities. I can explain you more. I mean, this is what we do. This is what BitSpace is all about. So we have the knowledge, and the easiest is just to find somebody who has Bitcoin. You know, I'll tell you a little bit of Bitcoin if you want, just for introducing you to it. Okay, so that's how the transactions work. When you post a transaction to the network, you don't include your private key. So it's the inverse of a Visa transaction, where you provide all your sensitive information to the shop, and then the shop takes your money. Here it's different. You make the transaction. You say that you want to send to this person, and you sign this transaction with your key, but you don't show the key to anybody. You just sign the transaction. You throw the transaction out into the network, and then everybody can know deterministically that it was you who signed it, who are in control of this, the private key for the public key. So it's one way of cryptography. I'm not really deep into the understanding of the math behind it, but that's the basic gist of it. So you never have to expose your private key. You can just shout the transactions out, and that's what you do when you broadcast the transaction. So, yeah, I talked about that already. The sum of all transactions is the state of the system. Who owns what? Okay. So the network consists mainly, there are other types of roles as well, but the main roles are the full nodes. They are the ones who keep track of the whole blockchain. They have a copy of the blockchain. They know everything about who has the permission to transfer which coins. So that's what they do. They verify the history. They relay transactions. So they process, they check the transaction is valid, and they push them on. And they service the network. So for example, you can connect to a full node and read out information about the network for statistics, for data mining, such things. And then you have the miners. And that's where it gets interesting for many people. A lot of people who came into the Bitcoin in the early times, they want to mine. It's like you put your computer to work and you get money. That's fun for any geek. So the miners, what they do is that they build the blocks of transactions. They gather all the transactions that have been broadcast to the network. They put them in a package called a block, and then they sign the transaction. And when they do that, then the transaction is verified by the network. It's confirmed. That happens every 10 minutes. There's an economy in this mining. There's a race. You have to solve. There's a proof of work algorithm, which means that you have to prove to the network that you spent a certain amount of computing power. And by solving an arbitrarily difficult math problem. And that goes on all the time. So the miner that finds this solution first, so it's a stochastic process where it's there's a random element, but it's also over the long term, the people who use most power will find the solutions first and win this lottery kind of. So they will get the block reward, which was 50 bitcoins every 10 minutes in the beginning. Now it's 25. Next year it's going to be half again to 12.5, and that's what generates the bitcoins. So in the beginning of 2009, it was 50 bitcoins per block. And then it evens out, halving every 4 years, approximately, until it reaches 21 billion Bitcoin, 21 million Bitcoin in 2140 or something like that. So that's how the Bitcoins come into reality. In the beginning, there was no Bitcoins. Okay, so a lot of people worry about the security system, how secure it is. There are a lot of reasons why it's a very secure system. It's open source, so all flaws will be found eventually. It has been shown that Linux, for example, is a very secure operating system because it has a lot of eyes on it. It has a lot of eyes on the code, and it's continuously under attack. Remember, as the price of Bitcoin increases, the incentive to attack the network increases as well. And Bitcoin is constantly under fire because people want to steal all that money. It's like a big honeypot, you know? So it's an evolving system. It's continuously under attack, and it evolves. It becomes stronger every time it's attacked. So that's why it's an extremely robust system. It's more robust than any PlayStation network, Visa network, whatever. They have this security by obscurity. You don't know what's there, and they trust that this is secure. But here, you just put it out into the wild and let the dogs at it. And it survives, and then it grows stronger. And it's growing slowly. It's still small, but the growth is really fast, seen in the long term. And the basis of the cryptography technology is something that US NIST and the NSA have endorsed. They use it for their military secrets. So it's a very, very well-known cryptography method. The proof of work mining I explained, that you have to spend resources, computer power to mine, ensures that there's a very high barrier to entry. Right now, there's an ASIC industry purely for creating computer chips for mining bitcoins. And it's a huge industry, hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's actually competing now head to head with Intel. You know Intel, right? in terms of how advanced the processing capabilities. So that creates a huge barrier to entry. If you want to attack the Bitcoin network, you need to make a huge investment. So that's the hash rate, that's the difficulty of mining, that's the logarithmic scale, so it's growing extremely fast. I'm not going to delve too much into it because it seems I have to move along here. In the wake of Bitcoin, Bitcoin is open source, anybody can copy it, you can make a fork. Right now there are thousands of cryptocurrencies. Literally thousands. Anybody can make their own coin. You can go to the online web coin generators, put in the name of your coin, a small fee, how many coins you want, blah blah blah, and then you get your own coin. So if you have something to contribute, that's the way to do it. It's like creating your own little ecosystem. Most of these coins have very little value. Bitcoin is much bigger than all the others. But they still do have value. Yeah, the second, third, fourth, fifth, they actually have quite a lot of value. It's like in the tens of millions of dollars around. And then it's a power distribution. Bitcoin is really high, and then the next one is much smaller. Next one there is much smaller. And it's like okay.
And 2 minutes then more of Bitcoins.
Two minutes? Okay. Okay. Well, what should I focus on then?
Maybe you could say something about if I have a business, how do I start to take or give money in Bitcoin? How do I start making Bitcoin my payment, method of payment?
Yeah, that's kind of a technical thing. I mean, it's something I could show you, but then I would need to download the wallet and do it here. I can show you later.
Can you buy a house or a car with Bitcoin?
Yeah, you can buy a lot of stuff with it. I'll show you that. The use cases. You have online services, domain name registration you can use, Namecheap, Fiverr, outsourcing of tasks and jobs. You have micropayments, JoyStream, which is a layer for torrent downloads. You can sell and buy downloads. Tipping on social media. You can donate to a lot of different foundations, specifically where there is a need to not have any censorship. Like, when you want to donate to WikiLeaks, then you can do it with Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. I think there's a lot of opportunity for travel, because Bitcoin is a true global currency. It's just the currency of the internet. And it's very low cost to implement it. You just need an Android, basically. You can accept Bitcoins. There's a low threshold to use Bitcoin because you don't have to give your sensitive information. It's just like sending an email. And you can also do multi-signature, which is a more advanced feature to mediate between three parties.
And how you change the Bitcoins to euros? The World Bank, or who changes the money?
A lot of different ways. There are exchanges specifically made for that you can transfer your euros, and then they can send you Bitcoins. You trade in a exchange.
You can put Bitcoins and get a euro.
Yeah, both ways. So I think the most important thing for Bitcoin to succeed is that it has a good internet coverage. And I was inspired when I heard about Gran Canaria, that it's like being connected with fiber now. And I'm thinking, wow, that's an opportunity, you know? You're gonna have good internet. If you have good internet, there's no better money than Bitcoin. It's so easy. Very quick. I even heard some rumors that there will be Wi-Fi all over Las Palomas. You guys probably know better than me. But, in the third world, they have some solutions where they integrate it with SMS, so people can pay with SMS using Bitcoin, where they don't have internet. And then you have this, in the future, Elon Musk is planning to send up like 4,000 satellites to cover everything with internet, so at that point, it will be really, really useful. Okay, so that's me, that's us, BitSpace. we can help your business. If you want to start accepting Bitcoin, if you want to learn more about it, if you want us to come and speak, to teach you about the subject, anything you might need. So just check us out at bitspace.no. We have a YouTube channel where we post our speeches, our talks like this. And also a community on Facebook, which is starting up now. Yeah. So, thanks.
Cool.